speaking of last efforts, this is the final mud bogger in the class. It is Roy Moore's Texas Smoky. Still on top of the standings is Jackie Hunter at 2.09 seconds. Earlier, Brock had a chance to talk to Mr. Moore, who is a Texas Highway Patrolman, about the engine of this particular machine.
You've got an alcohol-burning, supercharged engine in here, developing what kind of horsepower?
Oh, approximately 1,500 horsepower.
Really? Now, what I'd like to ask you about this racetrack here, or course, is that is it good to run early, or is it good to run late? I'm sure the conditions change.
As a general rule, in the unlimited class, the first vehicles have the advantage, the ones that run first. There's no ruts. Usually there's no ruts that you have to start in. The pit is unrutted, and the soupier the better, because you run on top of the mud anyway, and it's generally a smoother run if you run first.
1,500 horsepower. He could be a threat no matter what the course looks at. This is Roy Moore, the Texas Smoky, and he is, oh my, he has tied it. 2.09 seconds. That will tie the all-time mark in the class. I don't know what they do in a tie. I guess we'll be finding out here. Now, the tires do not get down in the mud. As he said, the ideal way to do this is to stay on top of the mud. That's exactly what Roy Moore did. They're tied, Jackie Hunter and Roy Moore, at 2.09 seconds. The first man to go and the last man to go are tied.
Roy, looks like we got a tie for first with that 2.09 with yours.
Yes, what we'll probably do, they'll average the first and second place, and the money will be split. The prize money will be split that way.
Well, you were running real strong, and then it looked like the buggy got a little bit off course there right near the end, but it looked like she was just sailing, picking up speed all the way.
Yeah, well, the ruts, after several trucks run, you get 3 or 4 different sets of ruts. And when you start jumping ruts, it can cross you up a little bit.
Well, that's some Smoky, Roy Moore. All right, here is the last tractor in the 9,200-pound modified class. And again, you're looking at all of these bug catcher injectors. There's 5 engines again in the Black Hawk Special of Dave Kelp. That is becoming an increasingly popular combination, especially with guys like Tim Engler building a tractor one year and then selling it to another competitor, where you'll see a whole bunch of them. This is a beautiful machine, all dressed out in black livery and gold leaf. The mark stays the same. You probably know it by now. 182 feet set by Tim Engler. And here he goes. He's hooked and he's rolling. He's got good wheel speed, but maybe a little nose heavy. And this tractor, one of the few that has veered off to the right. And he got out of it to keep from being disqualified. He was disqualified. There will be no measurement here. You can see that the right front tire was over the outside extremity mark. You can't do that for obvious safety reasons. So, Kelm has been disqualified. Let's have another look and see if we can tell why it went to the right. You know, when he first left, he may not have had the wheels centered. They were off to the right. Now, maybe he was doing that trying to compensate after watching all the competitors go to the left. As sitting as high as the drivers do in these things, they can easily see that outside mark and get out of it, usually before they're disqualified. Maybe Brock Yates has the answer. He's with Dave Kelm right now at the end of the track.
Well, Russ, one last pass, and it wasn't good enough. I think you went out, didn't you?
Yeah, I went out of bounds over there on the right side.
Was the track really starting to act up on you, or what was it?
No, it just pulled me that way, and I didn't get on the brake quick enough, I suppose.
Let's have another look at Tim Engler's championship pull. The Mission Impossible tractor, all 40 cylinders running cleanly, and the balance absolutely perfect. The front end just high enough for weight transfer, but not so high as to cause him to lose control. He won it at 182 feet, and you know what? Nobody else was even close. Look at this. Bruce Hutcherson, 167. Rick Ilsley, 160. Then 152 for Banner. Freeman at 151. Tim Engler definitely dominated the class here. Oh, boy. No one's leaving, even though there's only 2 machines left in competition. The Bigfoot Shuttle and Bigfoot itself. The monster.
Well, we got 2 vehicles left after all of it's over here at the Redman TNT Supernationals here in the Astrodome. I'm Brock Yates along with Steve Evans, and you know what? They're both called Bigfoot. That's Bigfoot, and then we got the Bigfoot Shuttle. Bob Chandler on board the shuttle, and I see you right down there near him, Steve. How's he doing?
I'll tell you, Brock, to the fans up at the seats, these trucks might look like little toys running around down here. but when you stand up next to one, they are pretty impressive. In fact, just a little bit frightening. I give them a real wide berth.
Yeah, they do look like they're a little out of control. All right, there is Chandler, the boss, and here is the over-the-shoulder view from Jim Kramer's point of view as he gets ready to go in the Bigfoot.
You know, I talked to both the drivers, and there's no fix in here either way. These guys are good friends. The boss in the shuttle, the employee in Bigfoot, and they shook hands and said, let's race for it. And still, it is rough out there. In fact, maybe rougher yet. The cars are easier to go over, but that's about it.
Well, look at that little shuttle make that turn there. Here comes Kramer. Looks like oh, look at that. The Bigfoot shuttle jumped right in front of Kramer. And now Kramer seems to just use that giant horsepower to blast right by. I think it's going to be the Bigfoot that wins it. Yes.
Brock, I'm standing here, and the place has gone mad, especially the kids. They just love Bigfoot, and he won it by a half a car length. I thought for a minute that the boss had it in the little shuttle with 160 horsepower. Now look at Kramer. He's the only guy I've seen all night that drives quite like that. He hangs right out the window where he can get a view over that left front tire.
I don't think he can see anything else except tires, Steve. He's looking right down at just a bunch of tread as he bounces over those flattened wrecks. Remember, we said they weren't going to be a factor, and they're really not, as Kramer looks like he's headed for victory right now.
Well, I hope none of Bob Chandler's 7 other drivers are watching, because in confidence, Chandler told me that Kramer was absolutely the best of the bunch, the finest monster truck driver on earth, and I got to agree with him. But right here, I thought we might bend some sheet metal.
Right, looked like a little figure 8 encounter here as these two vehicles get turned around and get ready to head back toward the finish line. Here it looks like Kramer's got the lead, but there comes the shuttle. Just squeezes right in front of him. And I'll tell you what, a mighty vulnerable little vehicle he is right now.
I don't think Kramer had any thoughts about crushing the boss inside the shuttle. And look at this leap.
And that's where Jim Kramer just buries his foot in the throttle of that big Ford and forges right on past the boss. This is where the big horsepower of Bigfoot paid off. Here comes the finish, and by a whisker, a very popular victory. Let's talk to both drivers. Steve's with them.
Well, Brock, back into the arena come both the Bigfoot drivers, the winner, Jim Kramer. And Jim, you were right, he was tough.
I think he's very tough. I think he was actually playing with me at the other end.
You had a problem negotiating the turn. It looked like you went the wrong way.
I did. I went around the cones backwards, but it's come out pretty good. As long as I went around the cones, I figured it was legal.
A little brain fade, or you trying a new route?
No, I couldn't control it. I came off the last set of cars, and I didn't know where they were. So I ended up going too far, and I went around the other way and came back. So
I hope you guys had as much fun doing it as I did watching.
I had a ball.
How about you?
Real good time, real good time.
They dominated tonight.
Well, we all had a super time here at the Redman TNT Supernationals. Bigfoot, the Pullers, the Mud Boggers, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brock Yates, along with Steve Evans from the Astrodome.
The executive producer for American Sports Cavalcade is Harvey M. Palish. Produced and directed by John B. Mullen. Promotional consideration provided for and a fee paid by the Style Auto World Championship Team, the nation's premier source of fast lane fashions. Style Auto, the champion's choice for the style of your life. The American Sports Cavalcade is a presentation of Diamond.